here at San Diego. Wonderful event. It has been an absolute pleasure getting to meet everybody here. The organizers and the team just must be off the hook. Actually, Cramp was just telling me a little bit about it. You get booth for life.
Well, once you get a booth, you keep your booth. If you go year after year, but if you don't show up one year, you go back to the end of the line. So it's important to keep your booth once you have your booth.
Well, it's kind of like we were just at NFT NYC in London, and it's a beast, right? It's the whole thing, and they sell out the tickets every time, and they were sold out, guys. I couldn't get a ticket. The only way I got a ticket here was I knew somebody that had a booth, and he said, "Oh, hey, I'll give you one of my passes."
Awesome.
And
that's the way it is. I mean, even parking. You got to be everything that goes on. Hotels. Well, first the booth, the attendees, the hotels, everything. You got to be on top of it right off the bat to get us to be here.
Here. Well, it's absolutely amazing. Now, Cliff is a bit of a legend here. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to come over. I know we missed our earlier appointment. They wouldn't let me in the place.
No worries.
It was backed up. So tell me, I know you've done some historic work. Tell me a little bit about what you've done in the space, and how do you feel about this Comic-Con?
Comic-Con's great. It's really great because of we're back. We haven't had a Comic-Con since 2019. So the conventions have been closed down. We're back. The crowds are here. People are really enthusiastic. It's great. I come out of an illustration background, traditional illustration background. I've been doing it a long time. I got gray hair. And so I've worked on a lot of really fun things. If you have the Blu-ray box set for Star Wars, I had the opportunity to do the cover art and a lot of the interior art for that. And I've done probably close to 75 to 100 covers. And for years, I never got to sign my work. So I lived in obscurity, which was okay.
Wow.
But it's now that I've signed on to a lot of licensors. I work with 4 different licensors for Marvel, DC, Disney, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Fox. Lots of really cool stuff. I get to be a big kid.
That's amazing.
And now people know who you are because you're out in the public.
Yeah.
So,
well, it must be very fulfilling to have stuff like that hangs in people's houses that they're very proud of.
Yeah.
We were just talking about one of the pieces over there that was sold to someone that you all know. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, all of my Star Wars work goes to George Lucas. My originals go to George Lucas for first rights of refusal. And so he's purchased some. And that's always wonderful when the creator of an intellectual property that you love and you're working on kind of gives you that stamp of approval and purchases one of your original pieces. So that's outstanding. Of course. That's where I get to go to my wife and say, "See, honey, look what I do."
They love me.
Yeah. My kids keep me humble, though. It's just Dad.
That's awesome. How many kids do you have?
2.
Yeah.
2 boys.
That's great. I have 2 myself. I'm actually going to probably scoot out of here tonight and take the red eye so we can hang out. You know how it is. So I know you've also done some NFTs.
Yep.
So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I'm slowly looking into that market because a lot of my friends have jumped into it already, and they're saying, "Cliff, you got to get into some NFTs. You got to get into, a lot of the new opportunities for your work to be seen and purchased." So I kind of stuck my toe in the water with ViewSonic monitors. ViewSonic USA sponsors me. I have 3 tech companies that sponsor my work, so sometimes they'll set up with a booth. So at Star Wars Celebration, I did some charity NFTs that they auctioned off, and they did really well with for Make-A-Wish.
Yeah,
and so that was kind of an introduction for me to kind of see the validity and of the NFT. Because anything new, you're always a little skeptical. You're like, I see it, I'm pretty tech savvy. I don't fully get it, but so that was a really good introduction for me to now start to seriously look forward to it in the future. And I did meet a NFT kind of broker that we've been talking of possibly me creating a series of work for the NFT market.
Well, it's really cool. I mean, it's one of the ways I know that the artists have been making more money, and also capturing some royalties as they continue to be sold. So I think that's quite interesting. For us, of course, I feel like most of these brands over the next few years are going to have their art being.
Oh yeah, they're going there pretty quickly, and those of us that are doing this stuff kind of need to get on board and learn the process. Some have already blazed the trail, and they're pulling the rest of us along with them. You're always going to have certain aspects of resistance to something new. So, anytime you can do work that gets you close to the audience and gets more people enjoying what you do is a real pleasure.
It's a real pleasure. So let's talk about it. I won't keep you too long, but let's talk about what an average day for Cliff Cramp looks like. Do you have a home studio? Do you go to work? Do you paint every day?
I paint every day. And usually Sundays I don't paint because it's family time. But my kids are now a little bit older. They're in that late teens, early 20s years where dad's not as cool, so they're out of the house a lot. So I have a lot of time to paint. I used to live here in Southern California. 2 years ago, we moved to the hills above Boise, Idaho.
Nice.
In the country, I absolutely love it. I have two studios. One upstairs, that's my digital studio, and then my garage is a 2-car deep garage that I've kind of blocked off the back part of the garage for my traditional studio to work in traditional media like oils and things like that. I get up, I walk the dogs. It's a very, I don't have to drive freeways. I live in the country, and I walk my dogs along the creek and up in the hills and around the wetlands. And I come home. I have coffee and breakfast with my wife. My wife walks with me, obviously, but and I start working. I start painting, and depends on what project I'm working on. I'm working on a few commissions right now that are requiring me to do traditional media, and I either am downstairs or I'm upstairs.
That's really cool.
It is. It's a lot of fun.
And now, how does the work come in? Does it? Do you handle that yourself, or do you work with like a broker or an agent?
I handle everything myself, but I do like the licensing work that I do is brokered with licensed agents.
Yep.
So they'll sometimes say, "Hey, Cliff, we haven't published a piece of your work. We want to see you do this series." And then sometimes I'm doing assignment work like cover art and that. Those are things that, as you get along in your career, you're a little farther down the tracks, people will come to you and say, "Hey, Cliff, will you work on this for us?" And that's another wonderful thing about a convention like this is you get to meet a lot of people you haven't been able to work with.
Yep.
And so it gives you opportunities then to work with them. So I work on personal commissions. I work assignment work with ad agencies and things like that. I don't have a representative, so I do it all myself. And then I do a lot of licensing art too.
Very cool. Well, I hope you guys are able to get some of what he has here through the lens of the camera, because it really is an amazing work. How long have you been doing it?
A long time. Probably, I would say almost 3 decades.
That's amazing. People used to be like, almost as long as probably you've been alive, but they don't say that anymore. I don't know what's going on.
Exactly. Well, it's that's about the way it is. Things have changed in 3 decades.
That's right. That's right. Well, it's Cliff Cramp, cliffcramp.com. Do you have social media?
Cliff Cramp Illustration on Instagram, Cliff Cramp Art on Twitter. So, and then cliffcramp.com is my website. That's the main hub.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, thanks so much, man.
Enjoy
a pleasure,
the show.
For sure. See you soon. Yeah, we got to kill the broadcast.
That's awesome.